and welcome to Just Africa on SOUQ News Television, your window into the continent's business, economy, and development stories. Here we break down trends, spotlight opportunities, and track the forces shaping Africa's future. I am Umivi Idolor, and I am not here alone. Olumide is in the studio with me. Hello, Olumide.
Good morning, good afternoon, welcome to Just Africa. Good morning and welcome, good afternoon, good evening, wherever continent you are. Welcome to Just Africa.
Yeah, so across Africa, girls continue to face barriers in accessing quality, inclusive education, leadership opportunities, and holistic personal development. As a matter of fact, UNESCO estimates that over 30 million girls of primary school age are out of school, with many more lacking access to guidance, counseling, mentorship, and life skills programs. So, in the spirit of the International Day of the Girlchild, our focus today will be on how targeted programs in education, mentorship, and life skills can empower African girls to reach their full potential, empowering African girls through inclusive education, life skills, and leadership. Inclusive education, Lumide.
Yes, inclusive education.
Now, you know, most times people just feel that it's still a cultural thing to a very large extent, that the girl shouldn't have same access to education or same access to quality education as the boy child. But we keep hearing them saying that when you educate a girl, you educate a community. So I don't know how we will be able to put this statement side by side. If you are depriving someone access to quality education and you are saying educating the girl is educating the community, how do you explain that to someone that is being deprived?
Well, for far too long, I think the way we were brought up, the men we believe to fend for the family, while the women takes care of the house.
Yeah.
I remember during former president, late President Muhammad Buhari's administration, when he said his wife belongs to the room, to the kitchen. You know, it was funny, but it was another way of trying to give us a picture. I would not say it's a realistic picture, but it was based on a generation passed down knowledge that, okay, the women are supposed to be situated to a particular sector. Even now that women have, you know, been gainfully employed, they have, you know, entered different sectors. But if you look at the roles that women are hired for, it's still, we're not there yet. I can say we're 60%. Customer service, they are there. Marketers, they are there. But the real nitty-gritty, where you get your hands really dirty, you don't really find women there.
Sure.
You know, very few. You start, you know, like for instance, seeing a female driver, bus driver.
Yeah.
It sounds strange, but women are doing it now. The same with tricycles, motorcycles.
Sure.
You see a woman, you know, sewing. Now, sewing, it has become, they've penetrated into that.
A very long time ago.
They've penetrated. So other, like mechanics, truck drivers. You know, these are areas where I feel it should not be gender biased. Women should actually have access to everything a man has. And I think it starts from the parents. Groom your children equally. Don't say, oh, the men do this. I've seen, you know, growing up for us, we were doing things in the kitchen. It wasn't just the females. We were all apportioned to each chores. No one was superior than the others. Now, if you now look at women hawking, young girls hawking, it's quite sad. I know in some homes you go to school, then after school you go and do whatever you need to do. But there are still some of these young girls that are hawking, which is not good, and they are prone to the underworld. When I mean the underworld, they are prone to all these miscreants doing whatever they want to do with them. I met a young girl who, according to her, she misplaced money. And she approached me and she was begging me that she needed money. I said, okay, no problem. And I gave her. Now, imagine if she approached the wrong person. You know, so it's quite interesting.
I love the fact that you mentioned some roles whereby the women are pushed aside. I don't know if you've taken looked closely at the advertisement agencies,
yes,
you will notice that when we talk about bosses, CEOs, DGs, you will never see women come up, or you barely see women as the one taking the lead role in those adverts. You mostly see men. But when it comes to advertising household utensils, food ingredients, and the likes, of course, you see women. Well, really coming up more often.
Well,
so I feel, personally, I feel that not using women in such roles, when you want to advertise something, you want to talk about a boss, you want to talk about this, and you are not bringing in the faces of women, you are indirectly still pushing the women aside.
Well, true, yeah. But you know the funniest thing? I think two of the places where I've worked, I worked under a female boss. In fact, one of the places where I worked, she personally asked me, do you have a problem with a female boss? I said, no, I'm not that kind of person. You know, because I believe in equal rights. Yes. When I mean equal rights. So the major thing now is, I know, yes, there's this bill that is pushing for more representation in the green chambers and the red chambers. Sure. That's a good one. Let's continue like that to push not just women, the girl child. Let's continue to push them. Let's make them have this belief that it is not all, oh, you're getting married after university.
Yeah.
You can go after your master's, your PhD, your professor. Anything you want to do, you can actually do it. Marriage should not come immediately after or even before education.
I love what Olumide said. Now, marriage shouldn't, you don't push the girl child into marriage immediately after education, after graduation from the university. It's coming from a man. So he's also lending his voice into this campaign, saying that the girl child should be educated. We'll go on this quick break, and when we come back, you'll meet our guest who is going to drive us in the right direction in this conversation. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Yeah, welcome back to Just Africa. You can follow us on all social media platforms at SOUQ News Television. Please like, share, comment, and of course, some of your comments will be read live on this show. So today, we are having a conversation on empowering African girls through inclusive education, life skills, and leadership. Mary Akomu Bamikefa will be joining us to drive this conversation. She is the founder of Better Days Ahead Foundation, BDAF, and the executive director of Better Hills Coaching Academy and Better Hills School. She started her non-for-profit outreach, that's Better Days Ahead Foundation, at the age of 19 with the sole aim of rendering voluntary services to enhance a resilience of creative genius and practice of good values in young people, families, institutions, and nations to maximize the natural strength for self-leadership, purpose, and relevance while awaiting admissions into the university. She is a licensed guidance counselor with over a decade of experience. Her love for personal development has led to opportunities to work locally and internationally, including England, South Africa, Dubai, France, Ghana, and Cotonou. She is a member of the Chartered Institute of Corporate Mentoring and Coaching, Nigeria, a TRC and certified teacher, member of Gemstone Leadership Academy, led by Fela Durotoye, and a member of the Coalition of Women in Africa for Peace and Development, among others. Hello, are you there? Good afternoon to you. Can you hear us? Okay, please, you will just help us unmute your device so we can hear you as well.
Mary Bamkefa, are you there? Can you please unmute your mic so we can hear you clearly from here? I think she's having problems.
Yes. So before she unmutes her device, we're having this conversation about leadership, inclusive education, skills, and leadership.
Yes.
Now, I don't know if you remember, we had a guest here who wanted to go into, was it plumbing or something electrical? And she was told that you can't do that, go and join the HR team. Because it has been termed to be the kind of work that is meant for the guys. That job has been gender-based. She felt bad. And there are many girls out there that are going through this right now. There are girls, like what the UNESCO said, millions of girls are out of school. And in the northern part of this country, you also agree with me that girls that we consider as underage here are being forced into early marriage. Actually, I saw a video of that. Olumide, all I could say was, man, this is wickedness. This is wickedness. Depriving a child her rights to quality education. In fact, so education first is barbaric, let alone quality education. And I also understand there are policies that has been defending the girl child's rights, saying the girl should go to school, parents should let the girl go to school, parents, the society should let the girl child go to school, yet we are not seeing people being punished for these acts.
You know, it cuts across borders. There was a particular time in a particular country, women could not drive.
Yes.
There's a country where a woman cannot go into that country unaccompanied.
True.
There's also another country that for years, women didn't have access to education. They had to rescind that policy, that a woman can now have access to education. And they went back on that policy again. But let's have Mary Bamkefa. Welcome back.
Mary, can you hear us?
I think the network is getting the best of us.
Yes.
So it cuts across borders, policies, government. You know, we need to start seeing this thing differently. It's also mind-boggling that in 2025, women are advocating for more seats in the House of Assembly, whereas in other advanced countries, you see women. I mean, the likes of, what's her name in the United Kingdom? This lady that's always in the news, Badenoch. We need to have more of people like Kemi Badenoch.
Yes, I like the fact that you are citing wonderful women. Okay, Mary Bamkefa is back. Can you hear us now?
Yeah. Yes, I can. Thank you very much.
Okay, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yes, so we are talking about inclusive education, skills, and leadership for the girl child. So we want to go back to the very foundation where the myth started from, that the girl child shouldn't go to school. Because there's the saying that says, sending the girl child to school is like watering your neighbor's plants. So because the girl will eventually get married and change her name, and whatever reasons, the girl child shouldn't be sent to school. How do we change this myth? How do we ensure that the girl child have access to quality education?
Thank you very much for having me once again. It's a pleasure. And, you know, I'm just so emotional reflecting on the topic and considering my own personal journey as an African child. Looking at the topic we are discussing on the empowerment of a girl child right to education, every child deserves to learn, a boy or a girl, but we all know that in Africa, there is this bias. And now, across Africa, girls still face this systemic barrier to accessing quality, inclusive education. And when I mean inclusive, I need to put into context that I'm even talking about children, individuals with additional needs. Because we all learn differently. We have situations where we have families, maybe a child is physically disabled. Let me put it the way it's, the layman language. Yeah. The child has a disability, maybe not walking well, not talking well, maybe has autism, the needs are many. We see many situations where such children are being ostracized from the society. They hide them. While others go to school, they don't go to school. There's nothing wrong with deaf children because every child can learn if only we discover it. Now, on a general note, every girl child deserves to be seen, to be heard, and of course, to go to school because the classroom is not just about reading and writing. That is where the training of the leadership of a girl child starts. And just like the quote you started with, that when you train a girl, you're training the whole community because a girl child can always create that avenue, that space, that community, that environment, if they have been empowered, just like I have been empowered, to make sure that it doesn't end with me. Because we are naturals, we are naturally gifted to multiply. So every girl child has a multiplier effect. When from the home, from the family, the girl child voice is heard, the girl child is seen, the girl child is given opportunity, just like the other gender, to learn. So that's what inclusion is for me in this context. And also for children with disability, because in most cases we see them sometimes on the streets. Some parents use them to beg for alms. It's like a pity party, pity me. No, 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 no. They are all deserving of education because they all have their rights and their dignity. So every child should learn, every girl child, yes, should learn, and every girl child with disability should learn.
Okay, I love the fact that you made it clear. You made everyone to understand the importance of going to school or having a quality education. Now, the UNESCO just gave an estimate of about 30 million girls who are out of school. These girls are between the ages of, or they are around the primary school age, yet they are not in school. What are the economic or social factors that are responsible for these girls not being in school right now?
Awesome. Thank you for that question. First of all, I would like to say economic poverty. Because when families cannot provide enough resources for their children, it affects their education. Now, we have so many cultural expectations and gender norms. In some communities, girls are expected to do just home chores, which is not supposed to be. you know, some girls even are forced to marry early. And why some, even while schooling, they are under supervision. Like, we are watching you, we are just pitying you, we are just allowing you to go to school. It shouldn't be like that. It is their right. Every child deserves a right to education.
Yeah.
Now, another point I would like to say to that UNESCO research is safety and distance. Sometimes, in some cases, we have lack of transport or distance schools, which discourages attendance. I grew up in a very humble background. My 12, number 5, Temipelu Street, I remember precisely. Even though we were privileged to attend one of the best schools in the estate, the house we lived, my parents had to make sure we lived moderate life so they could afford the kind of primary education I had. I attended Allen Children's School. And I remember attending there. It was an environment where we had so many houses. These were people that they are from the northern part of Nigeria. They don't really go to school. By the time a child is in a menstrual period, the second menstrual period, you are supposed to be doing it in your husband's house. So this is what I lived with, what I experienced, and that enabled me to, being in the community. I speak Hausa so well because I'd always loved children. When I come back from school, as our neighbors, I interact with them. I take on their children to do homeschooling for them, and just love upon them as neighbors. Because even their wives are not allowed to work. They are inside the house, either maybe cooking or taking care of the children. After that, that's all. The husband goes to market or Allergy goes to work. So their own belief is a woman is just meant to be at home, no other man, no other access to the general opportunity that the world has to offer. So you can imagine growing up in such an environment where I leave in the morning and go to school joyfully and I'm back. So when I'm back, I call the children around to just try and share grace, teach them letters, teach them numbers, and it went on and on and on like that. Then I proceeded to my secondary school, Immaculate Heart Comprehensive High School. And thankfully, when I finished my primary school education, I was the head girl. And that position gave me a platform to speak because, on the assembly, we have opportunities to do debates, or maybe we're talking about teachers are better than lawyers or farmers, all of those opportunities. Yeah. These are leadership training skills because every child should be able to own their voice. Your voice is your power. Every child, every girl child especially, deserves to be heard, regardless of any culture. So for me, I would say this cultural barrier has been and is still a very, very one that gives me so much concern. Proceeding to the my secondary school, Immaculate Heart Comprehensive School, it was all good. I ended up being the head girl also. But another barrier that I see is just like we mentioned earlier, parenting. There's so much to parenting. There's so much to parenting because there's nothing as important as the conversation going on in a child's home. Yes. No matter how superb a school is, no matter how even the society, the government, the home is the first school. The home is the first safe space every child needs. The home is the first leadership training platform that every girl child needs, that your voice can be heard, that you are seen, and that, yes, your dreams are valid. You can be anything you want to become.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Mary. Earlier on, you mentioned, you touched the parts, girls with disabilities, and I want us to probe further. So how can inclusive educational program, specifically improve the outcomes for girls with disabilities?
I didn't get that, sir.
I said, how can inclusive educational programs specifically improve the outcome of girls with disabilities?
Oh, awesome. Awesome. Thank you for that question. So, inclusive education program can specifically improve outcomes for girls with disabilities by creating environments where accommodations are differentiated instructions. And what do I mean by this? So I'll make it practical what I did growing up in that area where my 12, where we have people with, Hausas can be a lot of people with disabilities. Some could not see, some are handicapped. I don't know what happens in the north, but when they come to Lagos, we hear different stories. So I tried creating an environment where we use assistive technologies. And what do I mean by these assistive technologies? It's not as something serious. Sometimes as simple as a phone, whereby maybe a video recorded lesson of myself when we're in class, and I just replay for them. So we can help create inclusive educational programs by creating differentiated instruction. And what I mean by differentiated instruction is that we have different types of learners. Some people are visual learners, learn when they see pictures, they learn when they see videos. I'm presently now in the UK and people can join us. Yeah, it's an inclusive word, it's a global village. So they can know that, okay, even if I can't go into the classroom, I can actually learn here where I am with my tablet or my laptop or a phone or flashcards, and of course, a book. I am always, an evangelist of reading book because if we promote reading culture in our environment, from home, as a society, there's no limits where a girl child can travel to because it starts from the mind. It starts from the mind. And that was how my parents brought me up. I grew up reading a lot of book, a lot of book. And one epiphany I had was in 2018 when I was privileged to travel to Ghana for a program. And I learned about, I have the copy of the book here with me, Emergency 2018. This is talking about Universal Declaration of Human Rights. The girl child should be aware that they have a right. You have a right to speak your opinion. You have a right to share your truth. You have a right to live the best of life. So it is not just meant for some kind of people. For some of us that probably grew up from a very very humble background, not like some children that grew up with serious privileges, of going to top tier schools, but because of reading opened me up to the world. Really helped me to know that, oh, I can be anything I want to be. It might look as if there's a challenge now, but it is not really a challenge. It could just be a springboard. So we can create programs in the society from home, at schools, to encourage the reading culture. Libraries, which I know the Lagos State government has been doing a lot about that, because where the school is situated, we have a library around. So we engage children, we encourage them, we even encourage parents, have a reading date. So that's one of the ways to encourage girl child, regardless of your background, regardless of your environment, regardless of your level of education. Reading is the cheapest form of self-learning. In fact, is the cheapest form of therapy, because reading opens up the mind. And education, like I tell everyone, is not just only degree. Education is the training of the mind to be open to see problems and open to create solutions.
All right,
Open to
Mary,
see that.
if I may come in now, you started BDF at 19 to empower young people. So how did your early experience inform your work, with girls' leadership and education?
Oh, wow. Thank you for that question. I was privileged to grow up in a faith-based family where my parents modeled leadership. So when they are telling me, don't tell lies, I see my dad, who is of blessed memory now, not telling lies. They gave us the value of hard work. And I see my dad work so hard, even when we didn't have so much money. You know, I remember back then the days I had to trek to school where we were living at myself. I trekked to Maryland, you know, and I remember days where we would have to lap each other, like three of us in Molwe, back then, those days. I remember when there was this scheme that government did to scholar bus, where we'd have to buy tickets. So my parents modeled leadership for me. My father started mentoring me early because I'd always loved to talk as a child. I'm highly extroverted, and he would make me watch TV, watch the news, and I would kind of demonstrate after whoever is casting the news, and that really inspired me. That built a picture, that gave me a mental picture that I can be anything I want to be. And like I said, education is just is the way. The secondary school I attended, thank God for my teachers, because like the saying says that it takes a village to raise a child. So it wasn't just only my parents. My school did a lot. One of the teachers I can never forget was my CRS teacher, Mrs. Fashual, and I'm still in touch with her. And our principal of blessed memory, Mrs. Agbedeyi, you know, she's so strict. When you come late, they say, no, do things, tick says the clock, tick, whatever you want to do. They taught us a lot in songs. And of course, I emerged as the head girl, which also gave me another responsibility, not, I know I can't just, do things anyhow, because I am someone of value like integrity, service, putting people first, wanting to create solutions when you see there are needs, just wanting to fill in the gap. So when I finished secondary school, then I had setback. Getting admission into university became a problem, a challenge. First jam, second jam, third jam. It was traumatic. It was one of the darkest seasons of my life. But thank God for my parents. They created a safe space for me, always encouraging me. And of course, very prayerful. I grew up in the Deeper Life Church. I need to mention that. because faith is part of the value in my own family. And in bringing up children, we need to also inculcate our own faith values in them. Whatever religion we do, because I'm open-minded, I work with everyone, both Christians, Muslims, but that moment was very defining for me. And looking at the kind of environment I grew up in, we had Muslims, Hausas, mothers, living moms with children, and they give birth a lot. You can see someone that is 14 years old, by the time they are 25, already has 6 children, no plan, no future plan. All they do is just stay at home, keep giving birth. And so, thankfully, we had a mosque just close to our house. There was this Alhaji Mr. Abdul Rashid, well read. We used to have conversations, back then. And I just told him the idea I had that I have been teaching these children in my house, in our parlor, in one-room apartment, anyways, to put into context. Number 5, Temifele Street, at myself back then. And if you see what they could do, I showed him, and I called. I remember Maria so much well. Maria is hard of hearing, what we say, deaf. So I didn't even know sign language. But because of the warmth and the love and the connection, we could communicate. And because he's also someone that is open, and that is where education comes in. Education is not just schooling, it's opening of the mind to think, to learn, unlearn, and relearn. And it is cooperation, collaboration. I started BIDAF in the building that the mosques had for the Arabic school. So
thank you very much, Mary. Thank you so much for that. Okay, I love the fact that you talked about your failure and the little struggle you had before gaining admission into the university. And these are some of the challenges some young girls are facing out there right now. The moment they fail a test or they fail a project, they see it as the end of the world. Like, what else can I do? And we have even seen parents threatening their children. If you fail this WAEC, if you fail this JAM, that is the end of your life. That is the end of education for you. I'm not going to waste my money on someone who doesn't have brain and all that. Uses some derogatory words on the girl child. So my question now is, how do we, being a guidance counselor, professionally trained for that matter, how do you encourage a child, a girl child, that failure is not the end of her life?
Absolutely. Failure, in fact, is part of life. Because, like I always tell myself, when there is any challenge, life is not perfect. And I think, as a guidance counselor, we need to, or we try to create a safe space whereby everyone, a boy child, a girl child, life happens, where we can be able to process our emotions. Because take it or leave it, life happens. There will always be pain. Like we say, not every day is a good day, but there is something good about every day. So, in answering that question, what we try to do is, first of all, create a connection. Let them feel safe. Because when a child feels safe, the child can tell you as it is. The child can come to you, hey, mom, this is what happened. And even when parents, because, it starts from the home, a child that probably feels jam or feels, sometimes it went viral online, a child that went to commit suicide because he or she failed in WAEC or so. And I told myself, if the parents were actually supportive enough, maybe that wouldn't have happened. That was avoidable. So if we create small safe spaces for girls especially, because, generally girls can always be, our voice is always as if, don't say, endure, hold it, the culture of shame, look at you. No, we should try to create safe spaces where, when life happens, when there are setbacks, when we have failure, we should be able to turn that pain into gain.
Yes.
And how do we help them to turn their pain into gain? Through mentorship, through coaching, And of course, self-discovery, because sometimes setback could be a way life is trying to redirect you to say, okay, can you look inward? Okay, what can I do at this time? Okay, what is life teaching me? Okay, what can I make out of this? Because that's what I do. And every time maybe I try to do a project and it doesn't, I just tell myself, no, I'm not going to waste this pain. I'm not going to waste this time. And also helping children to learn early that time is the greatest currency of life that we have. So no time is ever wasted.
Yeah.
No time is ever wasted.
No
Maybe
time
we'll,
is ever wasted. I like that statement. Thank you very much, Mary Akomu. So I want to go further. You know, you talked about learning from the home, learning from what they see, learning from what they hear. I want to move a little to our movie industry because we learn a lot. Girls, boys, they learn a lot from movies. And one thing we've seen, our movies have portrayed men as superheroes. Most of the movies. Though we've seen some foreign movies that have projected women, but 1 out of 10, or maybe out of 20, thereabouts. So there is this notion that when you talk about superheroes right now, we only talk, it has to be a male character, which has made the woman to always be the, it does not necessarily have to be a woman, or it's women are not superheroes. But this history has it that women can actually be superheroes. So in this situation, our movie industry, music industry, what do you think they need to do to ensure that our movies also portray women to be great people in our society, which can also end up building self-confidence for the girl child?
awesome. Thank you very much for this question. And it's just so obvious from what you said. But what I would say to that introduction is they should give girls, women roles to showcase their talents. Because if you have not given me this platform to talk, to share my story, to give my voice to the girl child, nobody would hear, about me on your platform. So I would say thank you once again, and that for um, our media spaces should be more intentional to give every woman a chance. Let's put out content that also promotes inclusion. Let's stop this barrier, this bias of it must be a man, it must be a girl, if you are not married, if you don't, no, 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 no. We should be much more open-minded. Let's nurture, especially the young ones, our upcoming generation, future leaders. We should give them platforms. Maybe during auditions, I know it's not easy sometimes they call for audition and you see a whole lot of, people going, and there should be more of such opportunities so that girls can show up, because when they know, oh, there's a platform for me to, it helps them to harness their potential, because we are all gifted and we all can. Yes, a boy child can, a girl child can. So our media spaces should be more inclusive and more open-minded. Just try. I mean, you just never can tell what a woman would do. I remember a movie, was it Achalugo or something, that Bam Bam did, and everybody was like, oh, wow, she killed it. She did. Imagine she was not given that opportunity. So just give us the opportunity. I mean, we will do more than you can even, we will exceed your expectations. So this is a plea to our media spaces to please give us space. Let women breathe. Let the girl child breathe. Give us
Yeah,
opportunity.
okay, yes, let the girl child breathe.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much, Mary Bankefa. Let's talk about Bethel Coaching Academy. How does Bethel Coaching Academy, how does it prepare, girls to be socially responsible, confident, and of course, economically empowered rather?
A signature program combining clarity coaching with skill building workshops. Then we also have internships for undergraduates. Yeah, we have internships for them so that they can, school is sometimes more of theory, so they can get to come in and practicalize what they are actually learning, to have hands-on learning. Then also entrepreneurial training, just like, by also what I said earlier on, mentoring them and guiding them to ensure that there are times where you fail in life. I share my story. I mean, I've not had it all easy. There have been so many setbacks, but we keep moving. So through BDAF, we are able to encourage them to own their voices, take responsibility, discover and create solutions, because the opportunities are just numerous. And also we design social projects that aligns with their passion so they can create impact. Let's say, for instance, anyone who loves to be in the media or who loves to talk, just like your platform like this, let me use this to say, will you be willing to help if we send any one of them for internship?
Send them here.
Oh, thank you. Thank you in advance. So that's part of what we do to empower the generationers and make sure that every girl child owns their voice and they become all that they can be.
All right, so now with your vast knowledge and experience across the continent, what policy reforms and incentives, policy reforms and incentives, what policy reforms and incentives are needed, to expand the girls' access to inclusive and quality education?
Awesome. Wonderful question. Sincerely, I'm a Nigerian and I have, I tell people my blood is so green. I love Nigeria so much. Oh my God. And in answering this question, I would say, ah, there should be grants. There should be more opportunity, more funding for families of girls, especially with disability, because this is a very big barrier. We have so many foundations, faith-based organizations, corporate, I mean, doing so much, but it's not enough. So we need a lot and more of grants to help families with girls with disability. Then I want to make a plea that mandated inclusion standards should be a norm. I mean, and accountability in schools, because you hear parents say their child, is in a school, supposedly inclusive school, but the child is, when they are doing things, the child is not included. Maybe when they are going for excursion, the child is left in class. A lot of things happen. So there should be that system for accountability. Then also, I think there should be incentives for schools adopting inclusive practices. Because if you ask me, it has not been easy. There are some times when parents come and they see that, oh, you mean my daughter will be in the class with that girl that uses a wheelchair or something? They just withdraw. Like they withdraw, they don't, they take their child away. It's fine, it's our policy, we are open about it. We let them know from day one, this is a faith-based, Christian inclusive learning environment. So if you're not comfortable, it's fine. I mean, it's we respect everybody's opinion, but I think the world we live in is an inclusive world, because in the real world itself, nobody goes to bank and says, because you're on a wheelchair, we will collect money from you, or you can't. I mean, no, it shouldn't be that way. So I look forward to a society, I look forward to an environment where government, people, everyone, because first of all, inclusion is a mindset. So everyone has that mindset that we all have equal rights. If I can, you can. It's just a little challenge, and that challenge can actually be a springboard. So when there are platforms, when there are grants, when there are supports, and of course, school environment that are inclusive in deed and in kind, that do not think maybe they are doing a family a favor. You're not doing any child a favor because you're schooling them because of their disability. You're actually rendering a service. And I think government too can do better to have inclusive, not just, I mean, real inclusive environments where these children can learn the way they learn, where we give them the proper educational support system that they have. so they can also emerge and become all that they can be. Because in every disability, there is an ability. So not every disability is just is a story case story. We have a lot of children that has emerged and are still emerging. One which I love to tell her story is Tobilo Bajayi, my partner. She's the founder of the Let Cerebral Palsy Kids Learn. She's a survivor of cerebral palsy, a lawyer. In fact, masters in the UK in a profession. So imagine if our parent did not push against all odds, because I kid us not, it has not been an easy ride. People.
Okay. Okay, Mrs. Mary, we need you to just give your final words to one girl that is watching you right now, who is still being held back due to one reason or the other. She's being denied access to education, but she still has faith in herself that someday, somehow, maybe just by watching this program, she will be back to school. A word of encouragement.
Your voice matters. You are enough. Remember that if Mary from myself, despite all odds, can make it and I'm still not relenting. I stayed at home for good 3 years before I gained admission to university. And against all odds, I emerged the first female president. I told myself I will live celebrated, and I did. I grew up, my parents not traveling, I'm not going for vacation. But yeah, I am today on vacation speaking to you from London. I am saying your dreams are valid. Go for your dream. Put yourself in an environment where you are nurtured, where you are inspired, where you can be guided. And remember, we fall down, but we get up. Failure is part of success. Thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate you so much for your time. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us on today's show.
Thank you for having
so much. And I hope when we call for you again, you'll be available for us.
Absolutely. And we're also coming for internship. Thank you.
All right. We'll be talking to Mary Bami Kefa. I hope I pronounced that right. She is the founder of Better Days Ahead Foundation, Executive Director, Better Hills Coaching Academy and Better Hills School. She started her non-profit outreach, Better Days Ahead Foundation, when she was just 19 years old. So that means anybody can actually do anything. If she started at 19, it means she can actually do anything.
It's quite amazing when I read her profile and to find out that she started her work at 19. It must have been quite interesting. And one of the things that attributed that early start was her parents.
Yes.
She said it herself, her mom, her dad made her watch TV at a very early age. She was watching news. She was mimicking them. She was, you know, she was quite, that's inclusive education right there from her home. And I think that's where it should start. Inclusive education should not just leave it. You know, we have parents who, both the mom and the dad, they have a 9 to 5 and, you know, they're out of the house and they just leave everything to the school. Some even go as far as hiring lesson teachers. Some even put their children in boarding schools. And that's all. And the school is left to nurture your child, especially females. You know, it's quite interesting. But we're getting there. It's a very good thing she shared. I like how she talked about grant. I liked how the fact she stressed about women or girls with disabilities, they need to be supported because that's one area where we can actually empower them.
In fact, empowering the girl child is actually not a waste. So we really hope our conversation today will encourage policymakers, educators, parents and communities to invest in girls' education and development, promote inclusive and gender-sensitive learning environments, and cultivate a generation of African girls who are empowered, resilient, and ready to contribute meaningfully to the society. The broader goal is a behavioral shift toward prioritizing girls' rights, education, and leadership development across African communities. Okay, right now we'll go on a quick break, and when we come back, we will be coming with the second segment of Just Africa. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back.